This super review is sponsored by our friends over at Verve. And if you still have not signed up for Verve yet for a free trial, check the link down below in the description and you gotta try it out, where you can watch not only Dragon Ball Super, but tons of other anime and live action TV shows as well as movies. It's a combination of Netflix, Crunchyroll, Funimation, and really some YouTube as well. And now streaming on Verve, Season 2 of Harmon Quest and Last Man, new episodes every Friday, plus tons of anime. The battle between Goku and the girls of Universe 6 from last week continues this week on Super episode 114. Last week, Goku and Caulifla were having a scrap, so to speak, and he was teaching her about transformations and fighting and also trying not to get thrown out at the same time. And this week, we have Kale stepping up to face Goku. The episode last week ended with Kale powering up into her big, huge, ripped up berserk form. This week, it's Kale versus Goku. And I'm thinking to myself before the episode even starts, how many homages to Broly are we going to see? It is Super episode 114. Kiki Semaru. Aratara Chousenshi no Bataru, which translates to Ghastly, the explosive birth of a new super warrior. And like I've been saying for the past few weeks, whenever an episode is titled Birth of a New Warrior in Dragon Ball, both in Z and in Kai and in Super, it's always having to do with either a fusion or an absorption. In fact, 1 year ago, almost to the day, is when we saw Vegito in Dragon Ball Super. So interesting how they keep that pattern going, so to speak. Now, last week's episode was really polarizing, and the thing about last week's episode was that it had a lot of fighting. It was pretty much like just one big fight. So if you like action-packed episodes, last week was great. Now, the week before I think had a lot more emotion with Kaba and Vegeta, much better written. Last week was more of a fight. This week was very similar to last week in that most of the episode was just fighting, but the one key element that made this episode significantly better than last week was a man by the name of Yuya Takahashi. I talked about this man before. He came into Dragon Ball Super, did a few things in the past, couple episodes, the movies. Really one of the best animators ever. I mean, ever. He's supervising this episode. I'm going to probably do a video later in the week with Anime AJ talking about this man and why the episode looks so good. And that was the key element that made this episode so gorgeous. You can tell from the very beginning of the episode when Kale is powering up, you can tell right from the start that this dude is such an incredible animator. The way he shades the characters, the way that he does his direction. And he's an animation supervisor for this episode, which means that he doesn't do everything. He does cleanup work. But man, did he do a fantastic job here. Like I said, later in the week we're going to discuss it, but even if you don't like this episode, even if you think this episode was not interesting as far as the story goes, because there really was no story, a lot of it was just fighting, the action and the way this looked was so gorgeous, as well as Sumitomo's score. So production-wise, as far as that goes, this was a stellar episode and one of the best looking Super episodes ever. By the way, Takahashi also did the that scene where Goku and Jiren are fighting, and he jumps off the little pole thing to throw that big punch. That was Takahashi who did that. So he's coming into Dragon Ball Super now, doing a lot more work, and I'm really excited, and I hope he sticks around because this episode looked incredible, dude. Even if you don't like the episode, I implore you to watch it just once because I promise you'll enjoy the way it looks. So again, like I said a few minutes ago, Kale goes berserk to open the episode. Goku has flashbacks of the last time she went crazy. Some of the rocks from the power-up fling at Goku. And then one thing happened here that did kind of irritate me. And I know a lot of you guys are going to feel me on this one. They show Vegeta fighting Toppo. And both of them sense both Vegeta and Toppo sense Kale's power. This kind of irritates me because I want to see Vegeta versus Toppo. I really want to see this fight, and I feel like they're giving us this fight off-screen while Goku and Caulifla and Kale are fighting, and no, I want to see Toppo versus Vegeta, right? I mean, I know most of y'all feel me on that one, and I think we're going to see some of the fight later on, but no, I want to see both fights, and maybe we will see both fights, but I just feel like they've been going at it, and we haven't been able to see it. So, Topo is impressed, but Vegeta says, I'm still the strongest Saiyan or whatever. Like, he still puts himself over. Hits Topo with a big right hand. So they have the shot of Kale walking to Goku with the big pachoom, 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 like the feet, stomping down. Then they have this really hilarious scene where Caulifla wants to like hold hands with Kale, and Kale like squishes her hand down, like squeezes it, and basically, Kale is very, very, like she's out of control. But Caulifla talking to her and calling her like, my protege, my precious, precious protege, she powers down and basically she's starting to control her power. And Champa, of course, marks out over it. So the fact that she got called like a protege and got love from Caulifla, Kale really like calms down and finally learns how to control her power. So it's almost like they teased it before in episode 101, and now it's finally realized that she's gotten control over the Berserk form. Now, what is the name of this transformation? I don't know. I don't know if it even is a transformation. I'm going to just call it Controlled Berserk Kale for now until we have an actual name for it. Very good chance we're going to get a name for this form sometime in the future in one of the video games, whether it be Dragon Ball Heroes or whether it be a different game in Japan. We're going to get a name of this form soon, or whatever this state of being. So they both power up and decide to take on Goku together. The show's really hammering these characters home as being important. Not to mention, I want to discuss, as you watch this episode, parts of the episode sort of feel like Caulifla and Kale are the underdogs and Goku's the antagonist. Now, obviously, Goku's the main character, so he's not the antagonist, but the way this episode was directed, the way that it was kind of told to us with the dialogue and with the animation, it's almost like Goku is like the boss, and these two are trying to get one over on Goku. Now, that is definitely the case, but again, it goes back to what we talked about last week and the week before about the Planet Sadala arc that is not confirmed, but really being teased yet again. The show is elevating Caulifla and Kale to a higher level of importance, and I think they're doing it purposely to get us ready for something in the future, whether it be a new arc with these characters, whether it be a spin-off series, a manga, or maybe a new movie. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, but you can really sense that they're being perceived as important. So the fight keeps going here. They do some really fun stuff here. Kale flings Caulifla to Goku. They surround him. He gets distracted by one. The other one hits him. She fires those green Broly balls at him. He misses. Goku uses the Taioken, not Kaioken, Taioken, which is the solar flare Tenshin Han's blinding move. Caulifla gets blinded, but then Kale comes up and gets him with a big-ass clothesline into a mountain, Broly style. Meanwhile, they show Frieza on a mountain laughing and just shooting at people. And we have the introduction of Universe 4's superhero police officer, Kato Pelas. His name is difficult to pronounce, but he's this big, white, superhero guy. And as this is going on, Goku kicks away Kale with some ki. He's trying to survive this thing. And Frieza notices Caulifla and Kale and Goku. He hates the entire race. She recognizes Frieza, Caulifla does, as the guy who knocked out Kaba. And he wants to fight them, and he refers to them as toys. He refers to them as little toys. He's going to blast them, but then Goku appears and grabs him by the wrist and stops him, just like how he did on Namek way back in Dragon Ball Z episode 96, if you go back and watch that. Another throwback, Goku pretty much tells Frieza, I'll take care of him. Frieza's like, all right, well, I'm okay with you guys fighting each other, beat each other up. I thought that was pretty cool. Of course, Beerus is not happy that Goku is fighting them alone rather than getting help, but Beerus should be used to Goku's bad decisions by now, right? And I do love how, speaking of Kato Pelas or whatever, the big white cop guy, I love how when he poses, his belt buckle goes off like a siren. I thought that was really cool. That's going to make a great Christmas toy one day if they want to put it out. But he transforms into a different colored uniform and poses. It's another one of those superhero who is very cocky and poses, kind of like the Pride Troopers and the Universe 2 maidens. It's funny, but in my opinion, there's too many characters like this right now. You know what I'm saying? I get they're making fun of Japanese superheroes and even American ones too. I get it. I get Toriyama's humor on that. The Ginyu Force did it. Grey Saiyan Man did it. And of course, now we have the Pride Troopers doing it as well. I just feel like it's kind of played out to me. I like the joke, but so many characters having that joke, it just seems like I wish they would do something different with their superheroes. Like, I wish they would kind of do something a little bit different. But maybe they will. Right now, it's more the same. But the dude is funny. So, Caulifla and Kale prepare to fight Goku again. Goku obliges. Huge explosion in the arena. They fire ki blasts at each other. You know, good animation here again. Takahashi is in there just cleaning house. Goku tries to... They have this really cool thing here where Goku goes to nail Kale with a punch, but she grabs his arm, and then Caulifla starts to work him over with punches, with Goku having to block it with his other arm, his other hand. They do this awesome thing where Goku flips Kale over and then teleports away, but still gets caught with ki. Good stuff here. Great shading. Just really fun stuff. And so Goku's had enough, and he unleashes Super Saiyajin Godo. That's right, the red-haired god form. Kaioshin, Supreme Kai, is surprised that he can do this despite being tired. So, hey, Goku is getting better as he fights, and he's now able to raise his power. Now he's back up to red. We saw 1, we saw 2, we saw 3 last week. We saw a little bit more of 2 this week. And then God. And unlike 3, he stayed in God form for the remainder of the episode. So that tells me, point blank, that SS3's stamina problems are still there. So no matter what, even if Goku, who appears to be, well, not appears to be, he's much stronger now than he was in the Buu arc, that Super Saiyan 3 form is going to always have problems. That's the way that I'm perceiving it, that it's just always going to have some kind of stamina problem. Always. Just maintaining it's always going to be a challenge. That's just the way it is. God seems to be easier to maintain. So the action continues again. Goku in God form firing quick ki blasts as the women surround him from 2 sides. Really good action here. Really, really good action. Again, if you don't like these characters, I get it. If you don't like Caulifla and Kale, it's fine. But you can't deny that the fighting aspect of this episode was cool. I mean, there was some cool fighting here. Kale nails Goku with a huge shot. Goku knocks her away. They're firing ki blasts from the sides. Goku then fires one back and goes through their ki blast and uses his telekinetic powers, I guess, to control the ki ball with his mind, which is not something that we normally see from Goku. We've seen Frieza do this. We've seen a lot of other characters do this. We've seen Yamcha do it with the Sokidan. You know, it's one of the few times we see Goku actually controlling the energy. And one of the balls nails Caulifla. Yeah, one of the balls nails Caulifla, and she's hurt. Caulifla is hurt. And, you know, right now, they talk about how Goku is again surpassing his limits because he's able to do this while still being tired. He prepares a big Kamehameha. Champa does not look happy. He fires the blast at them, cracks the side of the ring, and it appears like they're eliminated. But suddenly, the huge green explosion happens. No, Goku gets knocked away. Champa is happy. Caulifla and Kale have fused into Kalefla. That is the pronunciation of the character. It's not Kafla. It's not Kefla. It's Kerufada. Kalefla. That is the fusion. You can hear them say it in the episode of Caulifla and Kale. So, they have fused, Potara style. And we see a flashback. And by the way, the way she looks, you probably saw it in the preview or in the thumbnail. It's basically Kale with Caulifla's, like, face with more hair. And then, like, the 2 costumes are kind of mixed. So you can see the mid-drift. But it has, like, Caulifla's pants, sort of. But they're purple. So, you know, typical fusion. We see a flashback of... before the tournament started, Universe 6 Saiyans, Kaba, Caulifla and Kale talking to Champa, and Champa gives, Caulifla and Kale the secret weapon, which is the Potara. And this, of course, goes back to what Kaba said, where he said that Caulifla and Kale are the secret, the secret, Universe 6's last resort, trump card, so to speak. Obviously, I thought at the time, and most of us did, that it was just they were really strong, but no, the trump card is the fusion. And of course, the question now is fused Kefla stronger than hit? We're going to find out in the next few weeks, I think, but nonetheless, very impressive from what we see from Caulifla and Kale, from Kalefla. I got to get used to saying Kalefla. And Champa tells them only to use it as a last resort. Now, we've been wondering about Zeno and the rules and whatnot. In this episode, there was no Zeno at all. Like, the Omni King didn't say anything about this, so... either we're going to get it addressed next week or it's just going to be legal, which I had thought that... They never said fusion was not legal. They said using weapons is legal. And that goes back to my question I brought up earlier this week in my video called Fusion. Do you consider the Potara a weapon? I do. Because even though you can't hurt somebody with it, if you fuse with it, you have a character that has an unfair advantage, a very strong character. But if the Omni King doesn't think so, what can we do? Nonetheless, nothing about the Omni King this week. We'll probably get an update next week about the whole situation, because he's probably going to be wondering, how did those two girls become one person? Because remember, Zeno doesn't really know anything. Grand Priest actually explained everything to him. Zeno is like us. He's like the audience. He just wants to see cool stuff. You know what I'm saying? I love the fact that characters like that. But yeah, nothing from him. So we see, we see Kefla form, and so she charges at Goku and immediately is faster than God Goku. She nails them with a big right hand, and Frieza's like, okay, this should be interesting. Tosses Goku down and smiles. So now we have Kefla in her base form fighting God Goku. She has not transformed yet. So Goku in his base is having a lot of trouble against this fused... Goku in God form, is having a lot of trouble against fused Kefla, who is in her base. So we'll find out next week. Next week's episode, Goku versus Kefla. Super Saiyan Blue loses. That's the title of next week's episode. I'm going to cover that tomorrow. But it should be interesting nonetheless to see where the story goes. And I do want to see more Vegeta and Toppo. I know y'all feel me on that one. So what did you think about this episode? Did you like it more than last week? And if you are somebody who does not like Kefla and Kale, tell me why in the comments, but also tell me what you thought about the episode. Tell me if you liked it. And you have to admit, look, if you sit there, I don't care how much you hate Kefla and Kale. If you didn't think the animation in this episode was gorgeous, that is a wrong opinion, homie. Sorry, but that's a wrong opinion. Yuya Takahashi is a freaking animal. This episode looked amazing. I loved it. Let me know what you think. At least that. At least you have to give them credit for having a great looking episode this week. Next week, we'll see what happens. Remember, Verve is the place to be to watch Dragon Ball Super subtitled, as well as My Hero Academia dubbed, Black Clover dubbed, Naruto's on there, and tons and tons and tons of movies. Last Man is on there. They are the official sponsors of the Geekdom 101 Super Reviews. Good friends of mine. They always try to provide a lot of content. If you get Verve, the link is in the description to get your trial. It's tons. There's tons of stuff there. Tons and tons of stuff to watch. Thank you. Have a great one. I'll see you guys soon. Remember to take care of yourself and each other.